Ben McKee, not Cousin Eddie, along here with Wes Rucker at Lindsey Nelson Stadium with our Around the Horn following Tennessee's decisive 13-1 win over Hofstra. They sweep the weekend series. I believe the final score from the weekend is 46-2, and that's not even playing 27 innings. That's playing 21 innings and 3 7-inning baseball games. Hofstra, frankly, did not deserve to be on the same field as Tennessee. That was evident. But we still did learn quite a bit from this Tennessee baseball team this weekend. The rotation, I think, long-term is not shored up. I don't think Nate Snead's role has been solidified. I think Tennessee's coaches are still trying to figure out the best way to use his talents, because there's no questioning the pitcher. It's just about, okay, how do we want to use this pitcher? I thought he was solid today in the midst of the cold weather. Yeah. But looking at that starting rotation potentially with what we've got now, I mean, if that was something that they decided to roll with moving forward, I mean, I think you've got to feel good about a trio of Liam Doyle, Marcus Phillips, and Nate Snead.
Yeah, and I mean, then you're talking about the guys who would not be included in that, like A.J. Russell when he comes back, Tegan Coons, who was sick this weekend, who was just an absolute stud according to everything we've heard and a lot of the things you've seen. So, I mean, it's they've got guys there. And that weekend, I like power arms starting games too. I mean, I think that power arms that throw strikes kind of keep pressure on opponents, and I like that. And it's also just kind of the MO of Tennessee baseball. I mean, it's power at the plate, power on the mound. With Abernathy now, there's a little more wheels involved, but I mean, it's just kind of it's a program based on power, and that's just what they do.
Yeah, and it wasn't just the starters that were impressive this weekend. There were several guys out of the bullpen that pitched well. I think the one that is maybe generating the most buzz, or at least in my mind, maybe it's just a me thing, but Ryan Combs, little brother of Aaron Combs, who is very much like his big brother. They might as well be identical twins. I think that is someone that Tennessee's coaching staff, they've never really liked to have a traditional closer or label somebody that, but he's probably as close as they're going to get that to having a traditional closer and somebody that they depend on. He's going to pitch in a lot of high leverage situations for Tennessee this year.
Absolutely. I mean, I just talked all about how this is a power-based program, and it is, and he, throws 88, 89, maybe ticks it up into the 90s a little bit when it gets warmer. I don't know. We'll see. But, I mean, it's kind of got that vibe as his brother. He comes in, you hear the heavy metal, and, the people start bobbing their heads and going crazy. And then, he's up there just spinning the ball, and that changeup is just disgusting. I mean, however that family got taught to throw off-speed pitches, they had good teaching and good genes, because his brother had that hammer that would just drive people nuts. And that changeup, I mean, it's the Hofstra 3-hole hitter was the only guy who got the bat on it, and he singled up the middle because he's a good player, but nobody else touched it.
No, Hunter Inslee was confused as to how they were able to hit Ryan Combs, because Hunter self-admittedly said that he never is able to hit that changeup from Ryan Combs. So Combsy was very, very impressive. At the plate, I don't think that there's any sweeping takeaways given what they were facing on the mound. And up until this weekend, Hofstra had been in a gym the entire preseason. This was the first time that they had been outdoors. So I don't know that it would be fair to have sweeping takeaways about Tennessee's offense. When you have this much talent and you talk about the power, Tennessee should have swung the bats the way that it did. And your Hunter Inslees looked like Hunter Inslee, and Dean Curley looked like Dean Curley, so on and so forth. But because they are the newcomers and everybody is interested in the new, the first weekend, the first games of the season, hard not to walk away impressed by this freshman class of Chris Newstrom and Levi Clark and Jay Abernathy and so on and so forth. I could continue to name names. Manny Marin, that was very impressive this weekend as well.
Yeah, I mean, and you feel for Hofstra because, like you said, they're coming out here for the first time, and they've been in a gym and they've been trying to hit off a cage, and it's hard to really even take fly balls, in those Northeast schools.
And you saw miscommunication as a result.
Yeah, and then I mean, and on top of that, you've not been really outside yet at all. And welcome to Knoxville. Here's 3 starters who can run up near 100. Like, it's not
the defending national champs, and like everybody around here is thrilled about.
Yeah, it's let's give that team a little bit of grace, see what they could do in a couple months. Baseball's baseball. Those guys get better. But yeah, I mean, for Tennessee, what I look at it is, are you just going out there and still doing your job?
Yep.
Do you go out there? Do you keep your approach the same at the plate? Do you keep your approach the same on the mound? Do you throw strikes? Do you compete? Do you stay focused? Do you stay dialed in, competitive? Is the dugout sounding the same? I mean, are you taking this thing seriously? And I think they were. I mean, a little bit of a lull today in the final few innings, but it's cold. You had Hofstra kicking the ball left and right and walking everybody, and there's just no flow whatsoever. Those freshmen, though, they can play. I mean, it's one weekend against a team that's not very good, so I don't want to, you don't want to get the cart in front of the horse, but in terms of just physically what those kids look like, they don't look like freshmen. They're bigger, they're stronger. I mean, the other day, the home run yesterday, I think that Clark hit, that's not even a great swing for him. It still at 102, 103 off the bat and went over the fence. So, I mean, these guys are good. They're going to be good. And I think it's going to be really interesting, Ben, throughout the season. I think that's why I asked Vitello about it today. I mean, the good news is when you build a roster with this much talent is that you have a roster with this much talent. The tough thing is you have a roster with this much talent, so you have to manage it. All these guys want to play professionally. They want to get drafted. 90% of them do. So you got to manage all this stuff, and I think we'll see how they do that. But if you keep winning, that helps.
Yeah, and Tony said so far they've been low maintenance so far. He emphasized the so far part and was very pleased despite playing 21 innings against an opponent that isn't quite ready to play baseball because of the conditions they deal with up north. He thought they hooked it up well, all 21 innings this weekend. So a lot to be happy about this weekend if you're Tennessee's coaching staff, a lot to be excited about if you are a Tennessee baseball fan. And, of course, we will have all the Tennessee baseball coverage up at GoVols 24/7 that you need. We'll see what this week looks like for Tennessee. The weathers are going to become even lower and worse. It's going to get even colder this week. So they're supposed to play UNC Asheville on Tuesday and Sanford next weekend, but we'll see if those games actually happen because of the cold weather. He's Wes Rucker. I'm Ben McKee.